Kimbra, thanks so much for giving up your time to have a chat with us today. The Youth Plus program is an incentive from the Palmerston North Rotary Club, and it's all about developing leadership and inspiring citizenship in the younger members of our community. We're really interested in what makes successful people tick, so it'd be great to have a chat with you today.
Fantastic, thank you for having me.
No problem. So, if you could have been anything at all when you left school, what would that have been?
Before I left to Melbourne to start writing my first album, I was enrolled to go to university to study French, and I was quite interested in philosophy and traveling and languages. So I think it might have been something to do with languages if I hadn't gone into music. But this is all I've ever really done, so I haven't thought much about it.
It's still an exciting pathway to head down.
Absolutely.
Would you say that New Zealand is an easy place to start an international career?
I think it's actually a really positive thing sometimes to start your career in a country that can be quite far removed from the rest of the world, because it gives you a chance to really work out what you're about and give you that time to, try out a lot of different things and sometimes make some mistakes without the pressure of having, to be in the public eye from the word go. I was lucky with the Rock Quest, which is an amazing, the Coke Smoke Free Rock Quest, an amazing high school band competition. That gave me a chance from the age of like 14 years old to be performing in front of people and doing all of that from a young age, meeting musicians and getting to, just kind of have that time to develop your own sound in a country that was a little bit, out of the way. I think that was a positive thing for me.
That's awesome. See, being a recognised performer is a dream for so many. How do you think it becomes a reality for so few?
I mean, it takes a lot of things. Obviously, there are a lot of variables that come into play with success, whatever you consider that to be. But timing and meeting the right people can be a big part of it. But also having a lot of passion for what you do. It can take time, and you have to have a lot of patience. And so that means you have to have a strong vision and working hard. I mean, things like going on the road and touring or spending time writing music can be something that takes years. I mean, my first album was like, I think, it took about 3.5 years to kind of come into full completion. So I think that means you have to be really sure of why you do what you do and determined to see it through.
You're talking about success a lot there, and success, some people say, has a lot to do with luck. We understand it probably takes hard work. So what strategies would you say you use to deal with the likes of setbacks and criticisms?
I try to remind myself that the reasons I do what I do is not based solely on what others think and, what they say about it. It's really like a language for me, making music, and the positive effects that it seems to have on people far outweighs any of the negativity. I think that's, again, like having a strong vision as to the reasons you do what you do, and that it's almost based on more of a calling than feeling like it's about pleasing, everyone out there. Music is subjective at the end of the day, and it's not going to be for everyone. And I think part of being an artist is recognizing that you have to be vulnerable if you want your music to be to connect with people's hearts. You have to be vulnerable and honest. And whenever you do that, you open yourself up to perhaps being criticized for that. But for me, I think that's worth it, to have the connection I get to have with people, and to have the positive impact.
Being a songwriter and a performer are two very different things. How would you say that you manage that?
Yeah, I think I could never have one without the other, because when I'm writing music, it's kind of quite a reclusive bubble. I get into, I guess, more of a internal zone. And then, of course, after you spend a lot of time in that headspace, you're so excited to then take the music out to people and spend a period of time receiving. You go inward, and then like performing is the time when you receive from the audience and get to actually share this world that you've spent all this time creating. So I think they feed each other. You really need both. And I keep them quite intertwined. I think on stage it's important for me to continue to recreate. I don't ever want them to feel like two completely separate worlds. I'm always even rewriting parts of the songs on tour, so that they still feel fresh and they still feel like they're connected to the process of writing. Yeah, so that it's kind of like a marriage, the two worlds. They very much need each other to thrive in their own way.
What's your favourite part about being a Kiwi? You know, you're away a lot, touring and whatnot. What brings, you know, what's the most exciting part when you come home?
It's that coming home is the most exciting part, and getting to have a home that is just so unlike what everyone else knows. You know, when I show people photos of where I'm from in Hamilton in America or in Australia, they can't believe it, because I live right by the Waikato River, and it's the most magical view, and just a place I can come back to where everything feels completely still, you know, and to be able to switch off everything and be around nature. I mean, it's just such a big part of who I am. So that's definitely the best part of being a Kiwi, is having, you know, being able to call this place home.
Probably something you miss a lot, being all over the globe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who's someone famous that you've met who's got you really excited?
Oh, it's crazy. There's different people for different reasons. I mean, obviously, when I met Prince at the Grammys, that was quite an incredible moment, because he's just such an iconic person, and as a musician, and also an idol of mine as an innovator. But probably Daniel Johns from Silverchair was a really big one for me, because he is literally the musician I had plastered on my wall as a teenager. And I think that aspect of having knowing someone's music for so long and then getting to actually create with them, that was so exciting for me, because my little fangirl came up and I was like, oh my gosh, you know. So
it's crazy to think you're probably going to be that person for someone else as well.
That's right, yeah.
So lastly, who would you say inspires you, not only in music but in fashion and life in general as well? What really is your inspiration?
There's a lot of things. In terms of like people, I think of in music, I guess a female inspiration for me is Kate Bush, who was always someone who kind of pushed the boundaries of her own musical ability, and also just seemed like a very fearless artist. From watching her career, I see that she's always changing her vibe and her look and her sound, and just was very much involved with the technology side of what she did as well. She was not just a performer, but very ingrained in the sort of the details of her record. So I admire her as a musician for that. In fashion, I'm really inspired by this new label. They're actually out of Australia, but they're called Desert Designs, and they embrace the stories and the artwork of the Indigenous people in Australia, and use designs from Aboriginal artwork on their clothing. And I think that's really inspiring when fashion becomes more than just like, you know, what's on trend, but actually becomes language, yeah, to kind of retell the stories of the past, or bring awareness to something while still being super hip and trendy. So they're really amazing. And in life, there's a lot of different people. I would say someone that inspires me is Helen Keller, actually. I read a book about her life, and obviously she came into this world with, you know, many disabilities, as we would say. But after reading that book, I kind of came to realize that she herself did not see them as disabilities at all. Because she was cut off to all the physical realm, she was able to live so much more in embracing spirituality and embracing her own emotions. And actually at the end of the book, I realized, wow, what a strong woman to overcome something that we see as such a tough life, but to use it to such an advantage. And you ended the book thinking what a strong and able woman she was, because of her ability to see so much more than we could, because of how distracted we were by the physical world. And stuff like that always inspires me, people who have overcome something difficult in their life.
It's motivating to see people like that overcoming challenges, and it makes you probably a lot more grateful for what you do have.
Absolutely, that's right.
Well, you've given some really insightful answers and shared some great experiences with us, and some pretty decent wisdom too. So we here at the Rotary Club of Palmerston North and the Youth Plus project wish to thank you so much for giving up your time, and just wish you the best of luck. You're an inspiration to us all.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's great to talk with you.